All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Run! Go! This is the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and podcast. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Podcast. Let's get to the podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambito.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And I got chills, they're multiplying. And I'm losing control.
Do I know this song?
What's your power? Multiplying. It's electrifying. Too early, man.
Nope.
It's too early.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Play the
you
song.
Need 1, 2, 3. It's electrifying.
Fly?
Flying.
Oh, I was vindicated. Oh my god, that felt so good that you fucked it up. You have no idea how good I feel now.
My name is Nick. Hello.
Oh wow. This
Wait,
is,
so
really?
what is this
Really?
from? I've never heard
Grease.
this before. Oh, I haven't seen Grease. I'm
It's,
like,
you're
what
the
the-
one I want. You are the
I
one
know
want.
that
It's how
song.
it starts. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
That's the beginning lines.
Oh,
it's
of
when
that song.
Yes, of that song. It's when she comes up at the end and she's all clad in leather, in spandex, the black spandex, whatever. She's like, tell me about it.
She becomes a greaser.
Spandex.
She's like, tell me about it, stud. And she puts a cigarette out, and then he starts singing the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally changed her.
Okay, I know you haven't
was
seen Grease,
great.
Neil, but I'm serious. It's my favorite music of all time. You have got to see that movie.
But you've never seen Hello, Dolly.
You've never seen Grease, and you know that.
I've seen enough.
And welcome to the new verses.
All right,
Hello,
well,
Dolly
I'll watch
versus
Grease.
Grease.
I'll make a deal.
Brought
I'll
to you
watch
by
Grease too.
Fuck
Splendid.
off. I need a cool rider. That's a Michelle Pfeiffer song in that movie. It's not good.
Isn't that good?
It's not good. It's not a good movie.
It's great for
It's you know what? It's fun to watch.
Are you talking about Grease too?
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It's
it
bad.
was no Grease first. It was not the first one.
It's not. It's not.
It's
not like
definitely
Grease.
not even close. But it was not.
I mean,
it
it's-
was not bad.
It's nice that they made a sequel like that.
Yeah.
That,
Nice.
that
Oh,
lets you
you
know,
know
that
what?
the first
Good
one
job.
did well.
Good A for effort.
Yeah, A for effort.
All right, so Diego,
So check this out. So
start it off.
Today we are talking about our favorite. I can't say they're my favorites, but our top musicals. Is that what we're gonna call
yeah,
it?
so I think we should call
Because-
it some of our favorite musicals because we're
Yeah.
only gonna do 2 each because
it's hard.
Yeah, because there's time constraints on it, and honestly, I could put 5 on my list at least. And we're just gonna go through some of our favorite musicals. We've been meaning to do this episode for a while. Today, the day we're recording this, is actually the 60th anniversary of the day the music died. You know, Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and Buddy Holly dying in a plane crash, and it just kind of sparked the idea. Oh, let's just do the musical episode today.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a certain rule on this. We're gonna exclude the Disney animated films from.
Not excluding.
We're excluding
It
them from our
sounds
list.
It
We
sounds
may
bad
mention
our
them.
list.
because
Yeah.
they would just win. Like
No,
we would just
that's
only
what I'm
It's
saying.
not the win. They're just so dominate.
Yeah.
Look, Disney has a great sense of how to tell music, how to produce music, and
Yeah.
how to tell the stories with musical and in this film, and they're just really good at it.
Yeah.
and so it can be very dominating.
So like what
If
Neil
they're
said,
included.
it would win. So
I mean-
dominate, win. Jesus Christ.
I just say
amazing. So-
I've watched more Disney films as a kid. If I watched more musicals, like
Yeah.
live action musicals, maybe I would feel differently.
Right,
But
and I'm not sure that I put
associate
Disney, but
musicals
it's
with
just
Disney.
so easy. Also, we've talked about the Disney animated films a lot.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna
We
put
love
them.
Disney. We
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Disney.
Is that we're just gonna say outside of those movies, our favorite musicals.
I mean, you know, Disney's becoming like this tyrannical corporation, but we love them. We love them anyway.
Jesus Christ.
They're
Neil.
becoming.
Who gave you a microphone?
It's true. They're buying everything up. You guys know what I'm talking
Disney?
about. Yeah.
What?
All
Yeah,
right.
Disney
They are
just bought
buying
Fox.
everything. Yeah,
They
No
literally
way.
own everything.
They're
they bought
just a
Marvel.
local store. What
They
are you
bought
talking about?
Look at the properties Disney owns. They own like half of the United States.
Yeah. I
Or
think they
more.
own the U.S.
Or more.
government. Don't they own the U.S.
They
government?
definitely own
at least one
two
of the three
branches.
branches. Two
Two
branches? Okay, I
branches.
thought it was at least
What?
one.
At least
Two?
two.
At least 2?
Yeah.
What?
But it's okay. It's Disney. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they can't do wrong.
It's legislative.
They're like the benevolent dictator. Not malevolent.
Emphasis on
benevolent.
dick.
Would you like to build a snowman?
Okay, so
See, I knew we're gonna.
See, I
Bringing
fell
back
into
to
it. I
Frozen.
fell into it.
Papa,
I gotta
can
say
you
though,
hear
just
me?
bringing up Disney, I don't understand how that
Wait, does
song
Deadpool
in
2
Frozen
count
became
as
so
a,
so
musical?
famous.
It's a catchy song.
It was catchy, but it wasn't like any of their old ones.
I saw Frozen in the theaters with my nieces and nephews, and on Christmas Day, and I really wanted to see not Frozen. I wanted to see Wolf of Wall Street, and
Which I saw that day on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I know.
Wolf of
Everyone
Wall
else
Street.
saw Wolf of Wall Street, and I saw Frozen, and I was very upset. And I was like literally dogging the movie, like in the theater with other people, like on Christmas Day. I was like, this is shit. This is like the worst Disney movie I've ever seen. I don't know. For some reason, the music is like grown on me. I haven't rewatched the movie since I saw it in theaters, but the music is not bad. I remember when I watched it the first time, I was like, I thought to myself, like, these are well written songs. I just thought the story was poor and like the pacing and like. There's like all these weird aspects of the film I disliked, but the music I thought was like on point. Like just hearing it the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's a good song."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
So
always like that. They must test this shit. Like,
Yeah.
they tweak the song 1,000
They do. I'm
times
sure they
until it
do.
like sounds perfect.
those things take forever to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So let's start with Diego. You want to go first?
Yeah, we can just start on Grease.
Yeah.
Since I was on that, I
yeah.
think I was right there on beat too.
So what is Grease about, you guys? Is it about
Thank
people
you.
that put grease in their hair?
It is
Actually,
basically
it is.
Because I know you had the greasers and is it the greasers? What do they call
greasers.
them?
The
Jocks,
T-birds.
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 Yeah, T-birds.
The T-birds and the pink
Firebirds.
ladies.
But what did they have in real life?
The greasers, what do they call them? The sobs, the sog.
No, it was like the preppy guys, and then there were the guys that were like wearing leather
but
jackets.
the preppy guys
and
were
riding
called the
motorcycles.
sobers.
I don't remember. I don't
They
know.
called them
It was
something.
definitely
I don't know
like
why that
terms for
information
both of
should
them.
If you
stay
see
in
the
my head.
outsiders, they refer to them as that.
Was it like the mods and the rockers? That was a thing. And
I think
the
rockers were one of
But
them.
in Greece, they're greasers. They're greasers. They had the leather jackets, the greased hair, the
But they're like
kinda rolled
preppy
the
guys
cuff
in the movie
jeans.
too. There's like a war
There
between
are,
the two.
no. There's not a war. Oh my god, you really have not seen this movie.
I don't. Why?
Holy
I don't
shit.
know anything about
This
this
is
movie.
not West Side Story.
I know that
This is not The
John
Outsider.
Travolta's in it.
Yes, he
Good
is.
job.
You're like,
Was this before or after Carrie?
The guy from this was after.
Oh, this is after
Yeah,
Carrie.
this is after
Wow, that's
Carrie,
interesting.
and it's after Saturday Night Fever actually by 1 year.
I did see Saturday Night Fever.
I
and I
wanted
remember
you to-
thinking it was like a really depressing movie because I thought it was going to be uplifting.
It's not.
and it's very.
It's a great movie, But
I like the
Grease-
song "Staying Alive."
Yeah. But Grease, I wanted you to be like John Travolta, the guy from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Oh,
No, I know the
It's a
show, but
yeah.
I.
he was basically he just blew up all of a sudden, kind of just with Saturday Night Fever and Grease. It was huge, but Grease has nothing to do with it. It's not a war between. It's not heavy in that way. You know what I mean?
So it's a guy,
really a love
guy
story.
chasing girl.
So basically,
Yeah,
the
that's what the
story
story
is that this guy Danny meets this
Danny
girl
Zuko.
over the summer, Sandy,
Yeah.
and they fall in love. They have their summer fling, but then when when school comes back and
She's supposed to go home to Australia.
Oh, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Is she like?
You want to tell it?
Well, I mean, you're missing some important parts here. The point is,
Well,
yeah,
she a
school
foreign
I'm
starts-
just
exchange
trying to be
student?
basic enough so he can see the movie. But if you want to tell it, you can tell
Well,
it.
don't
Okay,
tell me
let me-
every
no, no, no,
detail.
no.
Won't you tell it,
No,
Nick?
it's just
Because
that-
you're sitting there. Yeah, you missed the story with the name and the thing and the stuff on, and then there was the props. You forgot the props. Don't forget the props. Tell it, Nick. Tell it.
Holy shit. Okay. So Grease is basically, it starts with them having this summer fling, right? Danny and Sandy, okay? And when school starts, she's supposed to go back to Australia, back home, right?
Right.
And he's supposed to go back to school. And when he gets to school and it gets to the school scene, you see that he's a greaser. And he's got all these friends. They're all like these chauvinists, whatever, cool kids around school. They smoke the cigarettes and do all that stuff. And then you find out that Sandy ended up staying and is now going to the school.
Okay.
They don't run into each other for a little while, and they run into. They can't believe it, and he was a completely different person with her over the summer. You know what I mean? He wasn't being this weird personality he puts on this front for all his friends.
That
And
was
then
one of
she's-
the best scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Because he comes in, he's so excited to see her.
Yeah.
I'm just
And then he
rocking
just
and rolling.
plays it off because
Yeah.
he looks at her, then he looks at his boys, and he's like,
At first, he's like, Sandy,
what's
Sandy,
up,
oh,
Sandy?
oh my God, I say, Daddy, I can't believe I thought you were going home. And they're looking at him like, what the fuck? And he's like,
what's up,
I
what's
mean,
this?
you know,
yo,
I'm
Sandy,
just
that's
rocking
cool, that's right.
and rolling.
Yeah,
he
you
pops
know, I'm
his
just doing
collar.
that.
It's a funny scene, but the whole movie is really, it's a romance story between these two, like, and the things that are keeping them apart. But there's some incredible dance numbers, incredible. I mean, all the songs in this movie are incredible. Like,
When
all
was
of
this
them.
made?
This was 1978.
Wow.
So it starts.
That's late actually for
Yeah, it's
I
not
feel
the
like they had
50s.
died. Like I feel like musicals had kind of died off because
Yeah, this is a real revival.
like in the
of musicals,
60s
yeah.
it was like if you made musicals they were like not doing well in the theaters, it wasn't making money. Like Broadway obviously is like persisted forever,
Right.
like it'll never die. But like in Hollywood there've been like lulls and highs. That's interesting that it was made in like that late.
Yeah,
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 it's still super popular.
exactly, and it takes place in the 50s, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a period musical,
Yeah.
but in the 70s. It literally starts with the song "Grease Is the Word" by Frankie Valli.
Yeah.
Okay, you know that song?
Maybe.
Shit,
I did see that one
that
that Clint Eastwood directed film about
Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys,
Which is about
yeah.
Frankie Valli, right?
Yeah.
So Frankie
I saw
Valli
that
does
movie.
the title song, and the movie starts with this whole animated scene, kind of like showing the characters from the film. It's like the opening credits, but it's all
like National
animated.
Lampoon's
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation.
It's kind of like that. No, it is kind of like that. A little
Or
different, a little
like,
different art, but
God, what was that other movie? Mannequin.
yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
oh
sure,
my
exactly.
gosh, that was a great film.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
call.
But it
dude.
starts with this song is called Grease, or Grease is the Word. It's sang by Frankie Valli, written by one of the Bee Gees, like
Okay.
Morris Gibb or something. And it's this great falsetto, Frankie Valli, like I saw my problem and I see the light. It's this great, awesome
Didn't
opening
it ended
number.
with that too.
Huh?
It
Well,
ended with
no, it didn't end with that. It ended with the
No, they did this musical, but once it goes into the credit, they switch over to that song.
no, they 100% don't.
You sure 100%?
I've seen the movie 10,000 times.
You sure 100% that
100%.
after the credit
I will.
goes in, they
I'll bet
switch
you
back
want to bet
over
money
to
on
that
it.
song?
I'll bet my.
Why does it have to be bet money? Why does it?
Because nobody
know.
wants to part with their money. Anyways, so it starts with the summer
part
scene,
with my
and then it goes
money.
into that animated scene, and then it goes to the school scene. So it's literally like boom, 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 and you get right into the film at that point, and it's
That's like an early '80s thing.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was late
probably
70s.
all
Yeah,
80s.
yeah. But anyways, it's really a fantastic film. It's really good, and it's not just like some kiddie. Wishy-washy film. There's like teen pregnancy in there. There's you know what I mean, fucking sexual innuendos like constantly throughout the films. There's like even in that Grease Lightning song, people are like, "Oh, I love Grease Lightning." I'm like, listen to some of the lyrics of that song. Like, we'll be getting lots of tit. You know, ain't gonna take no shit. Like that's in the thing. Like I get cream when I see Grease Lightning. Like these are lyrics in the song. So
Frankie Valli during the
Oh, yeah.
credits.
huh?
During the
Opening credits, you dumb fuck. Not
end credits.
that song is not in the end credits. Play it.
Movie close.
Nope. Nope.
No?
Nope.
All right.
I'm gonna look it
I
up.
just want to confirm with everyone that this visual on YouTube is actually
Wait, I'm gonna see.
wrong. It's
and
lying.
reprised as the final track. Yeah, you're right.
What?
No, you're right. I'm always willing to admit it. You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. Is it
That's
towards
not
the
right or
end?
wrong. It's just you didn't remember. I know you love that
I know
movie,
The
you just
credits
didn't
don't.
remember.
I know the end credits don't
Yeah.
start with that song, but maybe it's one of those because sometimes credits have two
Yeah.
songs and maybe it rolled into that song and I
Yeah.
completely forgot.
I just
that.
remember. I just remember it because I love this film. It's just it's like you said the story, the
Yes.
moments, how everything just really doesn't drop, and there's no like moments where you're just not really just gagging at this movie.
Right. This is the opening.
Yeah.
It's got that 70s kind of funk thing going
very
on.
Cut. That's 5
70s.
seconds.
Yeah.
That's 5 seconds. We're gonna get sued.
No, because we're talking over. It's okay. But listen.
Yeah. Bibles and I see the light. I don't know the words. I'm trying not to get sued by the company that owns this fucking singing song.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good job on
That was a good cover.
They
Anyways.
would sue us. They would just tell us to take it down.
Yeah. So anyways, Grease is
We can't take
Worst
down
case
that episode.
scenario.
Yeah, but the story itself, the acting is great. I mean, you got Stockard Channing in this movie. You got Jeff Conway. You got John Travolta. I mean, it's a great cast. Sid Caesar shows up in this movie as the
I
basketball
mean,
coach.
it's a classic, and they did a Broadway adaptation of the film, right?
It was originally a Broadway.
Yeah.
it was originally a Broadway
yeah.
show.
It was
Okay.
originally
What?
it was originally a play. Then it became a movie, and then it's come back on Broadway like 3 or 4 times since the movie. I saw the early
And it was
90s.
a really popular play.
I saw the early in 1993. I saw Grease on Broadway, and Brooke Shields played Rizzo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
saw,
wow, that's
and
cool.
Rosie O'Donnell had been playing her like right before, but I saw the one Christmas Day. Brooke Shields was on Broadway playing Rizzo.
Wow.
I got to meet her on the way out.
The great thing about this musical is it's not just the main songs and the main characters singing the songs. It's actually that every character in this movie just plays their part so well, and some of the characters also have their own songs, which it fits them perfectly.
Totally.
And they're singing, and they're I forgot the girl's name in the bedroom when she starts.
That's Rizzo.
Oh,
She
that's
does
right,
the
Rizzo,
standard,
yeah.
the Sandra D song.
Yeah. Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
Lousy
Yeah.
with virginity. And the movie is really actually
Won't
pretty
go
highly
to
sexual.
bed until I'm legally wet.
This is the 70s.
Yeah.
Yo.
But like you would think, like, there's this clean viewpoint with regard to what Grease is, and if you really watch it, it's kind of a more risque film than you remember.
It
Yeah.
fits. It
Yeah.
really fits, and it stands the test of time because
Yeah.
if you look at that, it really projects that era, and it really not because I don't think people walked around singing songs, but
Is it just PG?
just the style.
It's probably PG because they didn't have PG-13 yet.
Okay.
It's got to be PG. It's definitely not rated R. I mean,
There's
there's
no
ass
cursing.
cheeks. There's shit. They say shit, tit. There's ass cheeks in it. Like
Okay.
there's a mooning scene.
I feel like you could still
It's
get
PG. It's
though,
now
with
rated
that.
PG-13.
Now it is?
They
Now
retroactively.
they're
okay.
retroactive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
Retroactively.
it is. I will tell you, it's one of the catchiest soundtracks. And I watched a lot of musicals as a kid, but as a kid, this movie I gravitated towards more. I saw West Side Story around the same time, and West Side Story, which I like, never really did it for me. I love there's because that also has the kind of the rival gangs. This is in New York,
Yeah.
rival gangs, and it's got the when you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to
Yeah.
your last dying day.
Yeah, I like the music.
It's cool,
I
but
think that West Side
song.
Story didn't
It's
really
a
pick up.
sad.
it is.
It
It's
is a
Romeo
very
and Juliet.
sad- Yeah,
It's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it's a great film, and I think
It
it
is.
resonates more with me because of the Latin culture in it and the
can
things
see
that
that.
they have in it. So I understand why in America it wasn't that popular.
It was
But-
very
oh, it's-
popular in
yeah, it
America.
was-
No,
Well,
it's
I'm
huge
talking
there.
about it didn't stand the grounds with like Grease with.
A
all
lot of
this-
people actually consider it a classic on the level.
It's a
with
classic.
Steven Spielberg's remaking it right now.
Is he? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That's
surprisingly,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. He should. It's
yeah,
a great film.
yeah.
It's an incredible film. I love
It is, and some
Oh,
people
it's
would look at that.
1961.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
way earlier.
Yeah.
And some people will look at that and be like, "That's even more of a film than Grease in terms of like something that you could study academically."
I met a
But-
girl named Maria.
Yeah, see that kind of singing is like that. Those kind of songs
Yeah.
are not my
No.
bread and butter. Like they're not my cup of tea.
Guess what? I
Um,
did meet a girl named Maria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You did. So, but anyways,
I showed her that
Grease.
film. You know what she said?
What?
I don't really like old films.
Rita Moreno, wasn't that her name? Rita Moreno. Is
Rita-
the,
yeah,
Puerto
yeah,
Rican-
exactly,
She's gonna be in
yeah.
the new one too.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, but Grease is catchier. Grease is more commercially kind of palatable,
Yeah.
I would say, or at least
it's fitted. It's fitted.
It's, yeah,
to
it's
the
also
culture.
a later
Yeah.
film, so it has more of those kind of. It doesn't have as many of those ballads in that way.
Yeah.
Is that the second one? Because we spent a long time talking about Grease.
All right. Well, Grease is the
Yeah.
greatest of all time, so we're gonna move on now.
Okay.
No,
Do you
we
think
can-
it's
I'll skip-
the greatest
All
of
right,
all
good.
time?
Yeah.
I think
for me,
it's
number
hard.
one.
See, I can't do that.
don't-
I
For me,
can't
it's
do that.
it's number
not.
one on musicals.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
All right, good. But I'll go on to mine then. Okay. We'll keep it with another period musical, which is Newsies.
Newsies, yeah.
Newsies.
I've seen that
Okay.
one time a long time ago.
Okay, so I've seen this movie a bunch of times. I've listened to the soundtrack a
It's
bunch.
a Disney movie, right?
It's a Disney movie. It's a Disney live action film that actually didn't do well originally.
Yeah.
The movie was about Christian Bale's in this. He's like a young guy.
He plays like the main guy, right?
Yeah, Jack Kelly.
Yeah.
He's like 16 or 17 when he did this movie. But I love this movie, and there's a cult following to this movie, and it was successful enough that they then adapted it as a Broadway play in the last few years, and that was like wildly successful.
Okay.
And the movie is basically about newspaper boys. It's based on a true story, like inspired by true events.
Yeah.
It's newspaper boys from the early 1900s that went on, or 1898 or early 1900s that went on strike.
I saw a Drunk History episode.
Did you
that's
about the
all
Newsies?
about the
Yeah.
Newsies.
It's
Yeah,
a real
what
thing.
happened.
Yeah, I've kind of studied up on the history of this, and they had a few strikes over the years, but the first and most successful one is the one that this one basically is inspired by.
Yeah.
And it's all these Newsies. At that time period, you have these kids who basically orphans, kind of almost living on the streets, just kind of hanging around, and what they did to make ends meet is they sold newspapers.
Yeah.
And they sold them for the newspaper companies. Like they relied on the newspaper boys to get their newspapers
what
out
is
in
it?
the streets.
What's the thing? Get your paper.
Yeah, extra, read all about it.
Yeah.
A baby born with 3 heads.
Extra.
It's like it's like thousands of
Three heads.
movies
Yeah.
have that, like the little kid, in the 1920s or whatever.
And
like,
it was
extra,
real.
Extra.
That was real life. And so this movie is about that. And these kids, they got some real New Yorkers with thick accents and some not that put on New York. And they all have these exaggerated New York accents.
Well, Christian Bale's British.
Yeah, exactly. So he does
You
it
can get that,
one, but
New York.
but it's great. I mean, it starts off
easy accent.
if you again very catchy songs, great. There's like
And who wrote the music?
Okay, Alan Menken, who did Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. I had no idea until we were about
I think
to do
he
this
did
episode.
Little Mermaid. I think that he was.
Yeah,
that was
I
like
know
the
he
trilogy.
didn't do Lion King. That I know because I looked it up, wondering if he had.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did all these
wow.
great. This guy's an amazing songwriter and composer, and he did. I didn't know this until we were about
Well,
to
there
do
were
this
two
episode.
guys, but it wasn't just him.
It was him and his
another-
partner who passed away.
Yeah.
But Alan Menken, he's still. I mean, he's a big part of these songs and these musicals. And I had no idea that he had done Newsies, and it makes sense because the Newsies, whatever you think of the movie, the songs in that movie are incredible. Like they're really, really good. But there's like this song like I'm the king of New York, look at me, I'm the king of New York. It's like everything's so catchy in this film. It starts off with all of them waking up in their kind of boarding house or whatever. They all live in the same kind of like. It's like a boarding. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's like they're all kind of just sleeping.
I mean,
in
that was
cots.
like a That
Yeah.
was like a thing they had. And especially in cities,
Yeah.
it was very common, I think, to have like just these big buildings with beds.
Yeah.
And it was just for.
Oh, he's doing a lot of the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Who is Alan Menken?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's
know
really
that.
interesting. Yeah,
That is interesting. I didn't know that.
Maybe
I'm just looking up his
working up
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
He's doing something new or something.
his IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, but it really is. They're carrying the banner song. Christian Bale has like a solo Santa Fe song. It's just really good. Bill Pullman's in this movie. Robert Duvall's in this movie. I mean, like these are great actors. Christian Bale. Christian Bale's in the movie. But anyways, I love the storyline. I love the kind of fighting little kids. There's a lot of great one-liners in this film. Never fear, Brooklyn's here. It's never fear, Brooklyn's here. And they all they try to get all of the different boroughs, Newsies together to form up against this strike against. Basically, it's Pulitzer and Hearst are they're nickel and diming these kids, and they're basically not paying. They're like, you have enough money to provide us fair wages.
Yeah.
We're out here basically being the backbone of your newspaper delivery, and you're not compensating us for it. So they decided to go on strike, and this actually worked, and it made them cave, and they decided to pay them, more adequate wages, or, because they had to buy the newspapers from these guys.
Yeah, and then sell them
and
at
then
a loss
sell
or
them.
something,
And I'm like,
right?
yeah, exactly. You had to sell all your papers, or you lost your money.
But
Anyway,
it was like a scam. Like the guys in charge of the newspapers
give a shit.
tried to basically rip these kids off. or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. So,
So
anyway,
they almost unionized in a weird way.
they did
And like this. Yeah.
They said we have to unionize. They say
Yeah.
that in the film. Yeah, like that is what they did, and they went on strike.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and then Bill
A bunch of homeless kids.
yeah,
They
basically
weren't homeless, but they were
they were
know,
practically homeless. Some of them
You
were.
orphaned kids. I
Yeah,
should
they were
say.
literally like coppers and stuff like that, constantly trying to snatch them from the streets to put them in orphanage. Like that was like the jail to them was going to the orphanage.
Yeah.
So they were trying to stay out of the orphanage. Yeah.
God, what was it? What's the movie? Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
Damn it! I switched it to my second. Fuck you, man.
No, he's
What?
not saying. He's not bringing it.
No, I didn't
Oh,
want to bring
no.
it up. I wanted to do the changeover, but now there's no surprise. Surprise!
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, I
It's
love
called
that. I love
Oliver,
that
though.
movie. If you've never seen
Oliver, yeah.
Newsies, if you've never seen Newsies, I would really suggest seeing.
I don't
it.
remember it at all.
It's a
I
it's a
remember it.
fun
Yeah.
movie. It's a fun movie.
On my VHS
And-
tapes, there was like a little preview trailer for Newsies, and
Oh,
I kept,
really?
and I think I saw that, and then maybe I've not seen it.
Oh, really?
Maybe
It's-
that's all I saw, because sometimes I'll have memories, like I'll watch the same movie, and it
Yeah.
has like the 3-4 previews in the
Yeah,
beginning of
yeah.
the VHS tape, and I would see that every time I'd watch the movie. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I've seen that movie.
Right.
But I've
It just
never
reminds
watched
me
it.
of as you talk about, it reminds me of it wasn't a musical, but Liar Liar with Robin Williams.
Liar, liar.
Not Liar Liar.
Good morning. Vietnam.
No. Jacob the Liar. Sorry.
Oh, I never saw that.
You never saw that?
never saw
Oh
it.
my gosh, you got to see.
I
Such
also
incredible-
haven't seen it, but
Oh
yeah, I'm
gosh, I think
familiar
that's
with
one
it.
of his most incredible films.
Kenny Ortega directed Newsies. He's a guy who did the This Is It, the last Michael Jackson concert. He did High School Musical and stuff like that. Like he's always been in the musical realm.
Yeah.
Anyways, seriously, if you haven't seen the movie, I really suggest seeing Newsies, and if you could even go on Spotify and listen to the album, the soundtrack. It's really like you'll hear it immediately in the first song, that first opening number where they're waking up and they start singing as they're getting ready. And it's like this whole choreographed scene of them kind of some of them, the older kids shaving, some of the little kids kind of putting on deodorant and putting on their suspenders and getting together. And
Is
and
that
they're
how you get up in
together.
the morning, Nick?
No, I'm just saying.
He
the
walks
whole,
to the bathroom like this.
Hey, that's my cigar. You'll steal another. Hey, bummers, we got work to do.
That was great. That's actually good.
That's kinda how it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. So I would really recommend that, and minimally check out the soundtrack. On
I don't remember
Spotify.
it all, so I might have to
Yeah,
rewatch
It's
it.
good.
Awesome.
All right, Neil.
Yeah,
I'm
what you got?
gonna need to watch. I'm gonna need to watch both of these actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I will. I have chosen. I'm trying to think which one to
Little
go with
Mermaid?
first. I'll do Hello Dolly.
Okay, let's do that because I
that's
still
less.
haven't really seen this movie.
Oh,
Like,
wait, you've seen it,
in
right,
a way
Tim?
that
I saw it a long time ago.
that's how I
don't
feel,
remember.
but I don't feel like I know enough.
It
about
was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix now.
It wasn't.
But,
'Cause I had to look for it recently.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it might be on something.
I'm gonna look.
You know, Netflix kind of, because they went up on price, they had to cut back on films.
I know.
Yeah. I'm
They're
gonna
just
look
giving us
at-
their films.
Anybody catch that?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
that.
they do that shit all the time.
I'm gonna look at. So there's this app, Just Watch, where you can type in any movie or show, or whatever. It'll tell you where it's streaming, so you don't have to look at all these different places trying to find. Just look at the Just Watch app,
Yeah.
and then that'll tell you where across all these different platforms where it's streaming. So Hello Dolly, it
Yeah.
says
So Hello Dolly is a.
it's streaming on Cinemax Go, like Max Go. It's a Cinemax
Okay.
streaming. Yep.
So it's
1969.
Was it 1969? So it was a musical on Broadway that they adapted into a film.
Okay.
Yeah. And the film takes place in like late 1800s, I want to say, that time period.
Okay.
And it's basically
Turn of the
about this
century.
woman named Dolly, played by Barbara Streisand or whoever the character was in the original Broadway show.
Right.
She
She could have been
the
Broadway
performer
show.
was. I don't think she was. I think this might have been one of her first films.
Okay.
Is that right? Or am I making that up?
It would make sense because earlier
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
much
so.
about
I
Barbra
feel like
Streisand.
Yentl was right around that time period too.
Yeah, maybe that was after.
Funny.
You know what?
face.
Maybe she was on Broadway first, and then she transitioned to this film, and then that kind of like she, leapfrogged into other films. But
maybe.
anyway, she's a matchmaker,
Okay.
which apparently I don't know if that was a thing or not, but it's a thing in this movie.
Okay.
And she kind of like her husband passed away, and she talks about how her husband was like this great guy who has his like life goal was to bring joy to other people. Like that's how he lived his life, was like I'm gonna bring joy to other people's lives, right?
Right.
So you're watching this movie, and it's about this guy who's like lives in this town called Yonkers, and he's like never left, and she kind of like
Yonkers, that's in New York.
yeah, and so she basically like puts these little seeds in people's minds that grow into these like total manipulations, but the manipulation into like a good thing,
Right.
And so that's kind of how the whole movie goes, is that she's like, runs into all these different people and then sees that like, oh, that girl would go great with that guy, whatever. And then like kind of like, sneakily put something together while she's slowly working on her own thing
Right.
with Walter Matthau,
Right.
who's like this kind of piece of shit guy. And it's really great. It's a fun movie. They're like in Yonkers. There's this whole opening thing, this whole opening like musical, and it's like crazy. Like I feel like at the time this was made, this was like they spent a shit ton of money on this movie back when it was made in 1969.
Yeah.
Like for reference, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was like $3 million budget.
Willy
like
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Willy Wonka and the
Yeah.
Charlie Chocolate Factory. Yeah, it was like a $3 million budget. Like this movie had like a huge budget.
Yeah.
And was considered a flop when it came out because
Right.
it didn't do well. Didn't do like I guess as well as they hoped it would do. And it has these incredible like set pieces where you have like 150, 200 people. It looks like on camera at one time, like all dancing.
Wow.
It's nuts. I don't know if you remember from when you watched it a long time ago.
No, I
Jacob,
don't.
but-
I really don't. I'm trying to
And it's
picture
a-
it as you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long movie. There's a large amount of singing. And there's a scene. It's funny too because there's a scene where they're in New York when they come to New York, and there's just a scene that goes. It's like this choreographed scene that goes on for like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Like it's a long musical thing where just all these different couples are dancing in the park,
Wow.
and it just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, man, this
It's
is
like
crazy.
an elaborate.
It's almost like they were trying to be like the ultimate,
Right.
like filmed musical at
Right.
the time. Like
Okay.
there's some stages like towards the end. There's this big scene with at the restaurant, and like Louis Armstrong is in it. He shows up.
That's so crazy.
And Louis Armstrong and Barbra Streisand sing this like duet together, the title song "Hello Dolly," and there's just like all this choreographed waiters or whatever, like dancing with like trays and shit, and it's just like it's bananas.
Yeah,
it's
I've
like
seen that scene.
the
I've seen that scene.
spectacle.
Yeah,
it's just like when you watch the movie, it's like the spectacle is so crazy. You're like this is nuts.
Right.
Like this is I haven't seen a musical. I mean, I haven't seen tons of musicals, but I don't have a lot to compare it to. But all the musicals I've seen, this is the most elaborate and complex.
Wow.
And the songs are great. And I always tell this story. The reason I even know this movie exists is because my nephew, I used to live with my sister, and my nephew was like obsessed with the movie Wally. And he was like, every morning, he was like, you got to put on Wally, put on Wally, put on Wally. So I kept I would put on Wally, and that movie starts, if you guys don't know, the first 5 seconds of that movie starts with them in like space.
right.
Flying through space, and it's like all these sound. Oh no, that's not what it is. They're flying through space, and the music, or the song, it's called "Put On Your Sunday Clothes." I think.
Okay.
Is the name of the song.
Okay.
It's the first song in "Hello Dolly." This one particular part of it
Yeah.
starts playing in the beginning of that movie, where it's like, "Out there's a world outside of Yonkers." Anyway, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I
And
just
like,
recently watched that with my nephew. Wally.
Wally, yeah. So that you know how it starts,
Yeah, I
right?
know what you're talking about, yeah.
And I was like, I'd heard this so many times, and I had no idea what it was from.
Right.
And there's a scene later in Wally where they
Isn't he
also show
watching
another
it?
song.
Doesn't he watch
So he
Hello
has
Dolly at
like
some
he
point?
has like some sort of like recording of it, and he's
Okay.
like obsessed with
Yeah.
it. And Wally's been watching this movie about these two people that fall in love,
He's
and then when
doing
he
the
meets
hats.
Eva,
Yes.
then he like he starts to
Eva.
mimic,
Yeah.
the guy. I forget what his name is. I don't know. Whatever.
Don.
John. Yeah, I can look it up.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So that's how you decided to.
Yeah, well, no. So I looked it up. I was like, what the fuck is this song from? Because I kept singing it. I was like, out there's a world outside of you. I don't even know what Yonkers is. Like, I've never even heard of that before. So I look it up, and it's this movie, and then it was on Netflix, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, it's a great movie, and I watched it like a couple times since then.
You know who's from
And I
Yonkers?
really like it.
You know who's from Yonkers?
You?
D to the M to the X.
DMX is from Yonkers?
Yeah, DMX and
It's
the
so
Lux.
weird. I don't know what Yonkers is like now, but in this movie, it's just like this tiny little podunk town with like horses and,
Oh yeah, no.
like a little
Yeah.
back in the 1800s or whatever.
Yeah, the Locks are from there.
My life. Oh my gosh. I got dude, it's seriously like I'm going my head is like fucked up right now because the more you guys talk about musical, the more I'm flipping through in my head and these songs are just popping in. Like I literally have gone through so many songs in my head. Like you're talking and suddenly it's not a musical, but Beaches came on because you are the when
Beaches,
beneath.
yeah,
That was
Bette
literally
Midler.
the first movie I ever like cried publicly.
Oh, that's a freaking.
That's
I don't
a
think I've ever
strong
seen Beaches.
Scene.
You never see that? Bette Midler and
Yeah.
Barbara Hershey.
Barbara
Barbara Hershey.
Barbara Hershey?
Yeah, it's Barbara Hershey. That movie is great. That is,
Yeah.
It starts off with the girl from Big Bang, Blossom.
Blossom, yeah.
Plays a young Bette Midler in the beginning of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I mean, it's
Oh,
very
Blossom from Blossom? Yeah, she's from
Balak from Big Bang Theory.
Big
now.
Bang Theory,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. She plays the young Bette Midler in that film. And that's a good movie. It's not a musical, but
Wait.
it's good.
Are you talking about a remake?
Oh,
or?
Beaches. No, Beaches. She plays a young Bette Midler. She's like 12 years old in that movie. That woman's like mid to late 30s now.
So this
That movie's like
say.
1989 or 1990 or whatever. Beaches, dude.
It's not. I just
The
it's
one
not
with
clicking. I'm just looking.
yeah. No, you would. She plays a young Bette Midler with that. Remember they meet on the boardwalk in Coney Island. Remember that as little girls?
Yeah.
She plays the Bette Midler character with the orange. She's wearing a wig or whatever to have that curly red hair.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. As soon as you said it, like my mind went blank
Yeah.
on what she looks like. That's
Oh,
why.
okay. I love that movie. It's really a tearjerker of a
It
film.
is such
Oh man.
musical?
No, not
not-
a
it's not
musical.
musical.
But
It's
it's
just
got, but it won an Oscar, I think, for Bette Midler's song "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings."
Oh, I
which
know
is
that
from,
song.
Yeah, that's from Beaches. It was
Yeah.
written,
Oh, okay.
and I think it won an Oscar.
I should watch it.
Yeah,
I forgot to say, Gene Kelly directed this.
he directed Hello Dolly.
He directed Hello Dolly, and
you told me this before. That's crazy.
yeah, it's like 2.5 hours long. It's not 3 hours, but yeah, came out in 1969, $25 million budget
Wow.
for a musical
In
in
69.
1969. Like that's insane.
That's insane. Gene Kelly. That's
Like
why.
fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark was like $10 million or something, or whatever the hell they spent on it. I don't know, but it was way less
That's
than
Gene
that.
Kelly, though. The Gene Kelly got that money, I'm sure.
Yeah,
They're like, if you want anybody directing your musical.
Won 3 Oscars. Nominated for 4 more Academy Awards, including Best Picture, which is interesting because they had I guess they didn't have the Best Musical category then.
Probably
just
not.
Best Picture.
Yeah, probably not. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's a really good movie. There's it's just I think it's worth watching for the spectacle because you watch all these scenes in New York City and you're like New York City doesn't look like that. They must have built these massive sets.
Wow.
That were like a 1910, like 1895,
Studio lots,
something
honestly.
like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're like these crazy, crazy sets.
They could do that on these lots of huge.
Yeah, and like everybody's great. Like Michael Crawford is the actor who plays Cornelius Hackle, who's like the main guy.
Okay.
Like Barnaby and anyway, it's a fun movie.
Good.
It's
I
very
really,
fun.
you've brought it up a couple
And
times.
it's not like
and I keep-
Grease where it's like there's not a lot of innuendo.
Okay.
I don't think
cleaner.
there's hardly any innuendo
cleaner.
now that I think of it. Maybe. Yeah, it's like almost like too clean.
Yeah.
And the way they handle that kind of stuff. But it's still fun. It's still a fun movie.
Okay.
It's very light and it's good.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to see it because you brought it up a couple times and I keep going, I should see this thing because I feel like I haven't seen it all.
I'm gonna be
Because
like,
the more you
I liked
talk
it.
about it, the less I feel like I've seen it.
It's like the one, like there's so many I still haven't seen. Like I feel like maybe I saw Singing in the Rain at some point, but I don't remember
I've
much
definitely
from it.
Seen that. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
There's like 7 wives and 7
For 7 brides.
For 7 brides.
Yeah.
Wait, how does it go?
7 wives for 7. No. 7. That doesn't make sense. 7 brides.
That's a musical, right?
Yeah,
I keep
7
hearing about this musical, but I've never seen that. There's so many musicals out there
7
I haven't seen.
7 brides for 7 grooms. Shit. Oh man.
7-Eleven.
7 husbands for 7.
The 9/11 deniers. There's 9 people who denied the number 11.
exists.
7 brides for
I was
7
like,
for
where is
7
he?
brothers. That's what it is. I knew there was some sort of like rhythm to the next word, and that's why I thought it was a rhyming one like brides and wives. But it's 7 brides for 7 brothers.
So is there like a family with 7 daughters and 7 sons, and they all marry each other? 'Cause that sounds
1850 Oregon, when a
interesting.
7 dicks
Beck's
and
woman
7
brings a
buns.
wife home to his fam. His 6
Wow.
brothers decide they want to get married too. No,
Did you hear what he said?
what do you say? What do you say?
We won't repeat it.
I'll
anyway,
hear it. I'll hear it in editing. I'll hear it in editing. All right, good. Let's move on because we don't want to take forever here. So Tiago, your turn.
I got nothing.
No, your next.
oh, did
film.
I already spoil it?
No, it's not that you didn't spoil it because I'm thinking and I'm like running through these, and I'm thinking Oliver.
Yeah.
The reason why I choose Oliver because I fell into that story because I love the Charles Dickens book.
Yeah.
Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist, correct. And I fell in love with that story. I remember reading it so many times when I was young, and then the movie came out. It was a musical. Then I saw the film. It didn't come out because I think it came out in 1968 or something like that. It's an old film.
Yeah, it's an
I think
older
it's
one.
not- yeah,
They've done a
1968.
couple, but yeah.
Yeah.
The one you're talking about.
And I just fell in love with it.
Is that the one you want to do?
I guess that's the one.
Can you
I'm
think of
doing.
it as a musical? Do you remember any of the
It was a
songs?
musical.
Do you remember
no,
any
it
of the
wasn't
songs?
musical. No, I don't remember any of the songs.
okay.
That's as soon as I started talking about it.
So you liked it more as a movie than a musical?
No, well, I love the book. I
Yeah,
love the
okay,
story.
right.
I love the movie was a musical. I just think it's been such a long time since I watched it.
I feel like I saw that as a kid too, and I can't
It's
quite
such
remember.
a beautiful story. So the premises
Is
of
this
the
the movie you're gonna
story.
take?
The 1968.
I just
Oliver?
feel like if
Correct.
you don't know the songs, I feel like it's sort of like getting away from what we're talking about.
Not really, because it's a musical.
But you don't even know it as a musical.
I do know it as a musical because I watched it.
But you don't
'cause
remember
it was a
any
musical.
so-
I just don't remember the songs.
But then that's like
I,
then we're just doing favorite movies at this point.
that are musicals because it's still a musical. It doesn't change the fact that it's a musical.
I know, but you don't remember any of the songs.
Yeah,
All right, fine.
but we're not talking about Disney's. But I remember all of those songs.
All right, let's do it then. Fine.
It's,
a
I,
bummer.
know,
I thought
I
you were
understand
gonna-
what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it, but it's like.
I feel like
but
we
I
wanted to
cannot
talk about the movie.
I don't
plus-
know. I don't know
I figured
how
about-
to.
No, I get it.
Because I could talk about Les Mis
Les Mis,
because
yeah.
it's one of my favorite stories.
Right.
I love the music in it, but the music in it's not that memorable, but
Right.
it's an incredible musical.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can talk about that, but I don't really remember how to sing the songs.
All right, fine. If that's the one you want to do.
It's very hard.
Right.
Like I can talk about. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just bringing up. I can talk about Sweeney Todd.
Right, but you don't.
Which
yeah.
I don't. I love that film, and I love what they did with the music and how it was dark and what Johnny Depp did in that film. But I don't remember the music.
What about Chicago or La La Land?
I don't.
Are those not- okay.
La La Land.
I don't actually. I like La La Land in Chicago, but I don't remember the songs from those either.
Right.
They didn't
If
like
that-
stick.
this is-
Chicago. I mean, that's all that jazz.
Yeah, no, I remember Chicago, but it's just
Jazz. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I mean, I
sing
saw
the
the
wrong
movie. I
words.
didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is difficult for me. So I feel
Okay.
like, in respect, my second one, I'm just not gonna because I can't really.
Okay, fine. Okay,
It's fucking Neil's fault for bringing up a movie that makes me fucking think of "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wing," and that's just replaying in my head.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about this. By the way,
Trapped you.
Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers.
musical.
There's
Fuck.
so many.
I mean, it is. There are a lot of movies with music in the movie,
Well,
but
do you
they're
wanna
not the
take
same
do
as
you like Mary
like a
Poppins?
You got
traditional
"Oh
musical.
Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Yeah, do you like Mary Poppins?
I like Mary Poppins.
Not big enough to take it off my list because I'm gonna take Blues
I
Brothers.
love
over
Mary Poppins, but I love Mary Poppins for many reasons. No, you go ahead. I think I've talked enough. We'll just skip my second one, and that will help
Okay,
cut
fine.
time.
All right, fine.
But because I already mentioned some great ones, so
So you don't feel like you know enough about the songs of that one. You don't feel like you can. Really
I feel
grab-
like I should remember. Yeah, I should remember the songs, even like what you said in Oliver Twist.
Right.
And Oliver. It was a musical, but I don't remember the song, and it still is very impactful. And
Well,
I
then
still
just
put
talk
that
about
as
it a
one.
little bit then. Just
It's
tell me why
literally
it's
the
impactful.
story about this boy who was an orphan, and he runs away from home because he was an orphan, and he just meets up with this person who teaches him how to be a pickpocketer,
Right.
And it's just the whole story, his relationship, and how yeah.
Okay.
It's a great film. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have to rewatch it, and maybe we'll pop
We'll
back
talk
in
about
it.
it.
But it's just that's literally what popped in my head. I'm trying to say whatever like the films that first pop in my head, and that one was something that really kept
Nice.
in my head. So, but I said multiple films. So
Okay.
if something just fell off my roof, it just went down my literally. I just saw that. Okay,
You know,
that was
it's
great.
so interesting you bring this up because I watched, The Man Who Invented Christmas. Have you guys watched that yet?
Yeah.
what?
I told you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're the one
yeah.
that's, The Man Who Invented Christmas. It's about,
Charles Dickens
Charles Dickens writing.
Christmas Carol.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but for me, like when I watched that, I was like, that became like a movie I'll watch every Christmas.
That became like a classic for you. Like,
Yeah, it was
immediately. That's
weird.
awesome.
I don't know why I liked it so much. Maybe because there was so much I didn't know about the creation of that story.
Right.
But
And Christopher Plummer as
Christopher Plummer's
Scrooge.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's great in that movie, though. But it's interesting. Then I started like digging into all this, start going down the internet rabbit hole of Charles Dickens and like a lot of the stories he wrote and like his childhood growing up. And there's like all this mystery around his childhood because people, I guess back then it was like you were a total unknown until you were known.
Yes.
And then it was like, oh, you just came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like, but now it's like your entire life is documented.
Yeah.
So it's harder to get, create that mystery. But he had mentioned to like a few friends his childhood, and that's how historians know that
Right.
he was in he grew up in one of these boarding houses like in Oliver Twist, where it was basically like forced child labor, and it was like these kids are like dying. It's like the environment's toxic. It's like, and that's why he wrote, like he had a big thing on exposing these horrible conditions to the general public, and he ended up writing Oliver Twist. That was the only,
Wow.
when you said Oliver Twist, it made me think of that
That
movie
movie,
that I
yeah.
just watched, and
Yeah.
just all that information I had looked up about Charles Dickens.
Right.
Super interesting.
Cool. So I was gonna,
Yeah.
as my second movie, I was gonna do Mary Poppins, which I freaking love. But then I realized, of course, that this next movie that I'm gonna mention is a musical, which is Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers is one of my favorite movies. You know, I love the music from it, but I also love the movie. I used to listen. I had this soundtrack on cassette tape, and I used to listen to it over and over and over and over. And in the movie, it's definitely a musical because they'll break out into song randomly.
Yeah.
You almost don't think of it as a musical because it's not choreographed and staged in the way that you usually think of musicals. It's not as slick, But they've got the scene. They've got James Brown in there. They got singing his thing in the church. They got Ray Charles in the music shop singing "Bend Over, Let Me See You Shake a Tail Feather." And there's all the people out in the streets dancing.
Please don't sing that today. Thank you.
Well, I want you to bend over so I can see you shake your tail feather. What?
Yeah, come on,
Jesus,
Tigo.
would you bend over and shake a
What?
tail feather for Christ's sake?
I guess he went to equal
Well,
rights.
I know about the. How about this? Well, I know about the fella you've been dancing with all over the neighborhood. Oh, why didn't you ask me, baby?
I've never
Or
been a big
didn't you
fan
think
of,
I could?
I've never
well,
been a big
I know
fan.
that the boogaloo is out of sight. This is the shake a tail feathers. How the
Oh,
song
that's
goes.
right.
Yeah.
I've never
Get
been
going.
a huge fan. Although
Blues
we
Brothers?
did see them. Yeah, of the Blues Brothers. I
I
saw the movies
haven't- yeah.
as a kid. I saw the
Blues
sequel.
Brothers 2000 is not good.
I'm just saying, like
Straight up.
I watched those movies, and for some, I don't know, John Belushi has never been a guy for me. But I grew up with like everybody like, oh, John Belushi is the funniest comedian in the world, and you
Yeah,
know,
not
watch
true,
Animal
but he's-
House and
but he's-
Caddyshack. Was he in Caddyshack?
No, he wasn't in Caddyshack.
What
He
were
was
his
in,
movies? It was
Animal House,
Blues
Blues
Brothers.
He was in a movie called Name. He died in '82, so realize he died only 4 years.
Maybe
after
that's
Animal
why.
House came
Maybe
out.
because he.
SNL. Yeah, he didn't have enough of a catalog. Honestly, he did do a bunch. He did Neighbors. He did The Great Divide. He did Animal House. He did Blues Brothers. He was in SNL for 5 years. I feel like there's one other big one I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Yeah,
there
he
was like
di-
these
he
series
died
of
in 82,
movies, and I
so-
just like I missed all of it, and
Yeah.
But I remember growing up and people or hearing or whatever that these were like really,
Yeah.
and then I watched them and I'm like, oh, it's so okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't. It
Animal
didn't
House
indicate.
is it's funny. Animal
Like
House
Chris
is-
Farley to me would be
Yeah, it's different.
more like growing up watching Tommy Boy or
is very
whatever.
different, right? And I get what you're saying, but Blues Brothers is a fantastic film, and everybody plays their role perfectly. John
Yeah.
Candy's in that movie, Carrie Fisher's in that movie, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. It's just such a good film. But the song, it starts, with Joliet Jake, Jake Blues, which is John Belushi getting out of jail, right? And that song that decides, she caught the kitty and left me a mule to ride. Like it starts this kind of smooth song as they get into the police car, and they start this whole conversation. He goes, "What happened to the Bluesmobile?" And he goes, "What happened to the caddy?" And Dan Aykroyd's Elwood goes, "The what?" "The caddy, the Bluesmobile. What happened to the caddy?" I sold it. He goes, "I traded it." "You traded it for this?" He goes, "My own brother. I get out of jail. My own brother picks me up in a police cruiser." He goes, "You traded it for this?" He goes, "No, for a microphone." Okay, I could see that. Anyways, they got so many great songs. And Sweet Home Chicago's in that. Give Me
I feel
Some
like
Lovin'.
in the sequel though, didn't they have like tons of musicians? Like
They
it was
did.
a big. Like I remember it was a big
just didn't
thing.
land.
They had
Okay.
like a lot, and obviously they didn't
Blues
have John
Traveler
Belushi
was in
because
that.
he was dead.
Yeah,
but
Blues Traveler was in it. Johnny Lang. But Aretha Franklin's doing "Think" in the first one in the diner. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Like that whole scene is great. But that first movie, first off, it's rated R. Okay, that first movie. So there's just a lot more curse.
That's like your level. Rated R.
There's
It
some,
makes a
no. They
difference
literally
as an adult,
they
you know what I
watered
mean?
down the second one to be more family friendly, and there's an edge to the Blues Brothers that makes it not so hokey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not Pee Wee Herman traveling the country kind
well,
of thing.
it's like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like there's a. But
Was
even
that R?
That wasn't R.
No.
But there's a more of an edge to the Blues Brothers. Like there's cursing and they're criminals.
Yeah.
They're freaking criminals that are literally being chased by police the entire movie until the SWAT
but
teams.
Aladdin's a criminal. You know what I'm saying?
No, but they're like they don't
he
give
literally
a shit.
starts with him stealing shit.
I know,
And,
but
like, trying to run from.
But like
you know.
they would not steal stuff and then give it. Well, actually, they are trying to save an orphanage, so they are trying to save kids. They grew up in this
Okay.
orphanage and they're trying to save it. And Cab Calloway plays this older guy that kind of taught them and about the blues and everything. They love him, but they basically are going to try and get $5,000 to pay. For the orphanage, and they have to get clean money because a nun will not take their stolen money. So they have to do it
They have
by
to
putting
launder
the
their
band
money.
back together. No, they have to put the band back
Oh.
together to do a legitimate gig, but everything they do to pull off this gig is illegal. So it's like they're going to get the money in a clean way through a musical performance, but everything they do, they from running red lights to crashing and driving through malls and destroying all the property to
Well-
conning people, everything.
Are all the songs licensed, or are they original songs?
They're all covers.
okay.
But a lot of them are actually no, they're not all covers because some of them are songs by the people who sing them. Like Ray Charles does a song, James Brown does a song, and Aretha Franklin does one of her own songs. So it's like they're doing their songs.
Okay.
I want to say that I don't know about James Brown and like Shake a Tail Feather and the James Brown song. I'm not sure where those ones came from.
Yeah.
If they were their songs originally or they were written for the movie. I actually don't know. But Aretha Franklin's, it was a hit song.
Also, if anybody's at Universal Studios in Orlando, they have Blues Brothers
guys, performers
that come out. They drive out in the car, and then they're playing all this music, and then they go up on stage and they perform it, and they're fantastic.
They're
they
great.
do like a whole half-hour show.
It's great.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I love the Blues Brothers though. So that's mine. Let's move to your last one.
My last one was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is kind of a musical. I mean, it is a musical.
It is.
There are original songs in that, and I love those songs, and I never really realized how much I love those songs.
Yep.
And Gene Wilder's performance in this film until I think I saw the Tim Burton version, and then I was like, well, I really like the original movie more.
Way more.
Not that they did a particularly bad job. It's just if I had nothing to compare it to.
Musical.
Yeah, the new one it does have a lot of songs, but they did this thing where they had like the Oompa Loompas were all one actor, and he like played all the Oompa Loompas. But yeah, if you haven't seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's about this little boy, Charlie Bucket, yeah, who lives with his mother, and the grandparents, two sets of grandparents who are bedridden
for 20 years.
Yeah, forever.
Fuck those
they basically just gave up on life, and so that actually, I will say one positive thing about the remake. There is a scene in that movie that I've never seen in any other movie ever.
Yeah,
and it's a great scene. And there's a scene where the grandfather, they show this first person perspective of the grandfather looking at Charlie.
Yeah,
and Charlie's talking to the grandfather, and he's in his bed, and Charlie's like, I'm gonna go to the store, and I'm gonna get whatever, some bread or some shit. And so he's like, oh, okay, Charlie, okay. And so he's like, I'll be right back, Grandpa. And he's like, okay. And then like they show like his eyes close, and his eyes like slowly, and then close. And then all of a sudden you hear Grandpa, and he opens it back up, and Charlie's back with the bread. Like it was like this weird moment that shows that like
falling asleep,
like
second.
waking up, and it was like a second. Yeah, it was great. I was like, that's so. I've never seen that in the movie.
Right.
And that was the first movie I ever saw that, and I thought it was so funny for some reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the original film. But like I was saying, this movie was made for $3 million, only grossed $4 million in the box office, and it became like a cult hit later when they were showing it on television. Actually, it became like they started doing repeated viewings on TV, and it kind of like people started to really appreciate it and really like it. I mean, technically, it was like it made its money back.
Yeah.
But
it's so good.
It's really great. Like it has this whole cast of characters. It's based on the Roald Dahl book.
Mm-hmm.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and basically Charlie finds money in a sewer drain in the film.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he finds the money in the sewer drain. He goes and buys a chocolate bar because he doesn't want to initially. Like this is how good Charlie is. He's such a good. Like he basically is like, I'm going to use this money to buy food for my grandparents who are like deadbeat pieces of shit. That's awful. I shouldn't say that. But they basically are like pretending to be bedridden.
Right.
I don't know if they really are or not. That's the impression you get because the grandfather gets out of bed like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then goes with Charlie to Willy Wonka's place. But anyway, he gets this coin. He goes to the local candy dispensary or whatever. And there's a really great song, the Candy Man. Yeah, the Candy Man.
Because the Candy Man can.
It's great. And then the movie, it's great. Like all the songs are memorable, I think.
Oh, I mean, the Pure Imagination song is like my favorite.
Yeah, Pure Imagination is like.
If you want to view
that
paradise, simply
Oh,
look
the
around
opening.
and view it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great.
Anything you want to do it.
Yeah.
Wanna change the world. There's nothing to it. Boo, boo, boo. And it has like that whole
NBC.
It's so good. It's NBC music. But yeah, Gene Wilder is incredible. And that song in itself is like such a good song.
Yeah.
Such a well-written song.
His performance really makes that movie beyond everything, though.
Yeah, his like whole disconnected from the world and everything's like his reaction to everything is so the opposite of what a normal reaction would be. Like, Augustus Gloop falls into the river of chocolate and he gets sucked into a tube and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, that kid's dead. Like, that kid's fucking drowned in chocolate. And like, as a kid watching this movie, it's like these horrific things happen to children.
Right.
But Willy Wonka's is like, Like, all right, well, he's like, he has his little flute. And he calls the Oompa Loompas or whatever, and then they fucking go and handle it or whatever. What's his name? Mike TV, like shrinks into a tiny little person to go into a TV, and then God, what's her name? Violet Beauregard.
Yeah, Beauregard.
She eats the
blueberry.
Fucking gobstopper, right?
No. It's not the
Who ate the
Gobstopper.
Gobstopper?
She does the 4-course meal kind of thing. Nobody ate the Gobstopper.
Yeah.
Gobstopper was the thing that they all were
they're
supposed to
gonna
pocket
sell.
to give to Slugworth.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then Veruca Salt went
Veruca
down
Salt.
into the incinerator.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's violent.
Yes.
Like this is a violent movie.
Yeah.
And there's that great scene where Charlie and his grandfather drink the fizzy pop or whatever, and then they float to the ceiling.
Fizzy
Which
drink.
Always reminds me of Mary Poppins for some reason, because in Mary Poppins
go up the
they
ceiling,
laugh or whatever,
and they
go
raise up. Yeah.
It's great.
It's
It's
really
so
great.
good.
But Gene Wilder's hysteria and mania and rage boils just beneath the surface. You know what I mean? I love that he's like, it's all a facade almost in a way. The way he plays it, he plays this fine line between insane and sane. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this weird thing where he's like completely
trying to
cold
think how
about
to
these
compare it. Like,
yeah,
who to
it's
compare it
not
to.
unlike anything else I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody play a character like this. He plays this thing where it's like these children are dying or whatever's happening to them, and he's very calm and cool about it.
It's kind of like
every time
dark
somebody
Disney, Walt Disney or something like
it
that.
is, but like
in a weird
somebody
way.
reaches for something and he'll slap their hand, but like you just could see he's like right on the edge with all these kids, like he's like fed up. But then at the end, and he does blow up at Charlie at the end. He goes, "Wrong, sir."
Oh, he goes nuts.
Yes, he goes, "You stole fizzy lifting drink and you contaminated my ceiling." This whole thing.
His,
he goes,
veins
"You
are
get
bulging.
Nothing good day, sir." And you're like, "Holy shit!" And he is bulging, his eyes are gonna pop out of his skull, and you're fucked.
Like even in the performance, you can tell like he went to 11.
Exactly,
in
he
that
does.
Scene.
And he's like, "Come on, Charlie. If Slugworth wants that gobstopper, we'll give it to him."
Yeah,
And
the
Charlie
grandfather's
stops because he's a good kid. He stops and he goes back and he puts it on his desk and then
leaves.
and he
He
starts
says
to walk
something.
away. and
He's
Will-
like, what does he
goes,
say?
He's
like, "Here, Mr. Wonka,
something like that.
Like I don't want anything to do with this or something like,
So
something like
he
that."
either said a line or didn't say anything. It's one of those things, but it's powerful the way he did it. He left it right there, and then you see Wonka from a profile just kind of look over at this thing. He puts his hand around and he goes, "And the dreamers," like he quotes something, which I love that line.
I
but
feel like
forget
he
what it is.
ad-libbed a lot now.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Charlie," and he turns around and he goes, "You did it, my boy!" And he's like all of a sudden elated, and it's like this guy is so happy, and he goes, "You get everything." He's like, "You mean the lifetime supply?" He's like, "Oh yes, the lifetime supply of chocolate, but so much more." And they go in the elevator that breaks through. He goes, "I'm leaving it all to you, Charlie." He's like, "And Grandpa Joe can come move in." Yes, everybody, the whole family can live it. Like, come in. He's like, "You get it, Charlie." And
It's so good.
It's so
and,
good.
And like then as an adult, I found out there was actually a sequel called The Great Glass Elevator, which I read.
The book.
Which is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it's crazy. And I wish they had made a sequel
In the movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
movie sequel,
Instead
like
of-
a film to the Great Gas
Yeah.
Elevator, because it basically shows when they explode, get in the elevator, and it goes into the sky or whatever. Like the Great Glass Elevator continues that, and they end up in like Wonka world or the Oompa Loompa
Loompa
world or
land.
whatever, and like all this insane shit. It's like he's got all these like crazy factories underground and magical shit going on, and it's like
So
it's
crazy.
so nuts. Like the sequel to it is even more crazy than the first book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. Those are some of our favorite musicals. There's so many more we can cover, and I'm sure we're going to do a part 2 of this another time, part 3.
There's so many great ones. I mean, all the Disney films.
So many.
Like I'm listening to you and I'm looking at. I'm like,
La La Land is great.
La La
La La
Land,
Land, Chicago,
the Greatest
Moulin
Show-
Rouge.
Yeah, Great
Moulin Rouge. Yeah, the Greatest Showman,
The Greatest
was
Showman.
a huge phenomenon last year, and that's my wife Callie. That's like her favorite film of all time now. And that movie is so freaking good.
There's a crazy story even behind the making of that. Like Hugh Jackman had been trying to get that movie made for years.
Yeah, it's an
apparently.
original.
Yeah,
It's an original musical.
yeah. And he, God, I want to say that had something to do with like he agreed to do Logan. And like they did Logan, and then somehow he got like the might to get like the producers.
It was
to,
his
like,
pet
fund.
project.
Yeah, it was like a
Yeah.
pet project of his, where he knew the guy who wrote the
Yeah.
the original screenplay or something like that, and wrote all the songs are
Yeah,
original.
He's like an Australian or New Zealand guy. They worked for like 5 or 7 years.
He's a big
developing
musical
it.
guy.
Is he?
Wolverine, yeah,
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a song and dance man.
he is.
Yeah,
he is.
the boy
Yeah.
from Oz and all that.
He's a stage performer.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. There you go.
Well, I'm glad we like names are just popping in my head now. Like, this is crazy. So,
Oh, the
yeah, that's why I
musicals?
couldn't do a second one. I was like, there's so many. I don't know how to categorize
Yeah.
them. And I mean, Mary Poppins. You took out Mary Poppins, but Mary Poppins should have been talked about too. You know,
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
man.
gonna, it was
Even
gonna be
the
my
new one.
It was
Even
gonna
the
be
new
my
one.
second movie, yeah.
Yeah,
But I was like,
even-
I was like, Jesus.
even the new one was-
Even
Oh,
I know how we
Mile,
should
I
end it.
even 8
8
Mile.
Mile
yeah.
Oh,
could be
yeah,
a musical in a way.
technically, yeah.
A Star is Born.
We
The
should
new
do,
A Star is Born, which is
Chim Chimney. That's how we should,
I love that one.
end it.
Chim chimney chim chim chiroo.
I mean, when we get to the end.
Yeah, when we get to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not ending.
Well, you gotta say welcome. Thank you for.
There is that, Diego. There is that.
I mean, you don't have to.
Okay.
Just gonna.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us here at Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And
Chim
Chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. As lucky as lucky can be. Da, ba, da, da, da.
My favorite part of that song is where it gets.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.